In what might have been Alex Bregman's last regular season game, the Houston Astros fall to the Mariners, but they still have the division clinched. We're going to talk about Bregman, Verlander, Yordan, and what might be waiting us on the other side of Alex Bregman if he does not return.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talk Astros. You find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Astros411 on X and on Facebook. They can also find me at Back to the Bullpen on X, on iHeartRadio, on YouTube, and on Instagram, where I'm always positive, always Stros.
Hey guys, thank you for making us your first listen. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, all postseason long. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did say all postseason long. Now that the Astros have clinched, you can go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Wherever you check out your podcast, go and make us your first listen. Become an everyday, or go check out Michael Connor as well. He'll be doing the postcast after every Astros game as well. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rival city. So book today at Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. And Brett, I know the Astros lost today. It doesn't matter. I know it does matter for the Mariners, and it does matter if the Mariners make it to the postseason. It's going to take a lot for them to get there, but they have a full head of steam right now. They're going full cylinders right now, but I think that the Mariners are going to fall a little bit short here. But like I said, they have their backs against the wall. And so what do snakes do when they have their backs against the wall? They attack. The Astros were able to hold off the attack in the game 2. They're able to get that one win they needed. But unfortunately, when you have the clinching celebration, you maybe have a little bit too much alcohol. And then you also sit out 3 of your main starters, and then you put out a lineup, and then you take out Alex Bregman. We'll talk about that, and put in a guy that made 4 errors. You're probably not going to win that game. And it's not going to hurt the Astros in a grand scheme of things. But it's just, you want to try to win the games. But at this point, like I've been talking about, I've been warning y'all, once they clinch, they're going to go ahead and sit some players. They went ahead and sat Altuve, Tucker today. Alvarez, we'll talk about him. He's definitely out for the rest of the season, so we'll talk about that. And also Chas McCormick, we got a little bit of news on him. But they're going to get ready for the postseason at this point. They made an adjustment to the rotation, and that does have an effect to what the postseason rotation. So the Astros are making all the what ifs. And so now that they have clinched, they're waiting to see who they play. They have them. I know Joe Spato's like, well, we have all the projections. I can imagine them doing all the, well, what if we do this? Well, what blah, blah, blah. And I could see them doing all the different disaggregation of data to see, well, which pitcher would we need in this situation? At some point, it doesn't matter. But Justin Verlander, he was pushed back a day. And with him being pushed back, I think what you and I have been talking about, he's likely out for at least the wild card series, because I don't care how good Justin Verlander is. He's had a great postseason, just a great career, Hall of Famer. He's not going to come out of the bullpen. So if you're not going to pitch him as a starter, you're going to go and leave him off that roster. So there is so much to discuss. I'm not going to even worry about this game. Kikuchi was great. So much to talk about. Brett, what do you want to start with?
Start with Kikuchi. I think he pitched another great game. If the Astros offense shows up today and you don't make the fielding errors, forget the errors. You only scored 1 run. You only had 4 hits. So they had 8 strikeouts. The Astros struck out at a crazy clip. Look, George Kirby, another excellent starter. The Mariners do lead the league in fewest runs scored against. So that right there showed up big time for them. And Yusei Kikuchi came out 8 Ks, 4 hits, only 2 runs and 6 innings pitched and only 1 walk. That should get it done if you have everybody in the lineup and your bats are hot. You just hope that that is not something that they do or replicate in the postseason. So again, I think Yusei was going for the win today. I think someone here mentioned it, that he was pitching for the win. 100%. There you go, Michael. And I think that's true. I was watching the game off and on, and he was doing what he normally does. And so when you get to the playoff scenario, now hopefully, even if Kikuchi is the third pitcher, you don't want to use that third pitcher because you want to win the first 2 games.
Right.
You want to go to a game 3 in the wild card. And even if Verlander was healthy, or even Verlander was doing decently, unless he came out and just won every start off the IL, I still think you leave him off this roster for the wild card. I don't see why. I mean, there's a possibility that you don't see Justin Verlander until the ALCS, Eric. Yeah. I mean, there's no need to put him on the ALDS if you don't have confidence in him going. You might not see him until the ALCS, and I think that's a strong possibility here.
Yeah, and I heard it on the broadcast. I don't exactly remember who is from. I don't know if it was Callis. I don't know if it was Blummer. I don't know if it's one of the post game guys. But one of them said Justin Verlander's next start with the Houston Astros is not to decide if he's going to make the playoff roster, but it's just to celebrate his Hall of Fame career, and it's just a way to just see. Don't look at it as judging him to see if he's ready. So basically, he's probably going to be off the roster. And this is something that even I probably wouldn't have accepted a few weeks ago, because I thought that, hey, this is Justin Verlander. He always finds a way. But maybe he's finding at this point, at this age, maybe he came back from the injury too early, that he can't find a way. And so he's going to have to do some self-reflection. Does he want to come back next year? So Justin Verlander, there's some question marks next to him. That's why I put that on the thumbnail. We don't know what's going to happen with Justin Verlander. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the ALDS roster. They always need pitchers that can go deep into games, 5 innings. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the DS roster, but definitely not on a wild card roster. But I wouldn't be shocked also if he's not on the roster. So I think it's a big question mark right now. Another big question mark right now is Alvarez. We already talked about off air that Alvarez is going to stay in Houston. He's not going to Cleveland. He is starting to walk a little bit better, but he's not going to be able to play outfield in the postseason. Right. So at this point, they are just going to get him to the point where he can play DH only during the postseason, and hopefully he can even do that. So this is a point where the Astros are saying, look, we already clinched. Like I said, we don't care about the rest of these games. Let's go ahead and shut him down for the rest of the season and just see what he can do for the playoffs, because it's all about the playoffs. I like the way somebody said this at the beginning of the chat. They said the rest of these games, the next 3 games are basically preseason games, spring training games. And then Tuesday is when the real games begin.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then, they're all here, and it's going to be a fun series. I'll actually be at game 2. It's funny. I didn't even remember if I had purchased tickets to game 1 or 2, but I purchased tickets to game 2. They come out game 1, take care of business. Hopefully that's their clinching game to take them to the ALDS. And that's what you're hoping for. Look, as far as Justin Verlander, I think I saw the writing on the wall a while back, just with his not being able to come out and perform. And if you have a team that's scrapping the way they are, everybody's got to be ready. And you've got Arrighetti, you've got Blanco. I mean, you've got Arrighetti or Blanco that you could piggyback off of someone in your 4th start. Now, if and when Justin Verlander does make it onto one of these playoff series rosters, You could have him go 4 innings and immediately have someone lined up behind him to go 5. That way you save your bullpen. Both Arrighetti and Blanco have done that successfully in their AAA career with the Houston Astros, and probably some in AA. So it's not something that's foreign to them. But then again, Justin Verlander, I don't think will allow himself to pitch if he doesn't feel like he's going to be worth it, like he's going to be an asset. Those are his words, not mine. Now, the other conundrum is Alvarez, and we'll talk about that next segment.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, and we'll go and continue this conversation. We got a lot to talk about. We're not focusing on this loss. We are focusing on the postseason, and we want to stay positive because the Astros always have a chance once it comes to October.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 stat player projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can join community picks with guys like Drewski, John Boobin, and Sugar Shane O'Malley of MMA, and so much more. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that yours doesn't end in not getting a return. The injury doesn't keep you from getting that money. You can win money as quick as 15 minutes when you get the picks that hit. That's right. Players and stat types from any category that you would love to see and love to tune in and make sure that you're a part of Prize Picks today. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 off instantly, or get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's LOCKEDONMLB when you get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and become an everydayer on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. We're trying to get to, I think we set the goal of 15,000 subscribers yesterday. We're at about 12.
12,000, a little over 300. Yeah.
Okay, so we need your help. October time, this is the time where we get a lot of people saying, hey, we want more Astros content. You got us. You got the Locked On Astros podcast. You got the Locked On Astros postcast. Go and check us out, both out. And just go ahead and subscribe to us. It takes a second. There's a little red button down there. It's easy. Just go and help us out. So I know that the Astros celebrated yesterday, and it's always exciting to see the celebration. I didn't get a chance to watch it too much because we were doing podcasts. But, you know, Steve Sparks likes to get wet and everything. And he, I don't know if you saw it, but he wore the Astros overalls with the shorts and everything. And so it was just awesome to see him. He always gets so excited. But Kikuchi, he's one of those guys that goes to bed early, especially on the nights before his start. And he said, oh, well, I watched it while I was in bed. I saw the celebration a little bit, but I had to get up early so I can start. So I watched it from my hotel. So Kikuchi is one of those guys that he's always going to fly home early before his start. And so you have to love a guy like this. But what he's done with the Houston Astros is nothing but impressive. And it's just amazing that a lot of people have said that Dana Brown was the worst GM for making this trade, but in his 10 starts with Houston Astros, 60 innings, 42 hits, 22 runs, 18 earned runs, 14 walks, 76 strikeouts, a 2.70 ERA. The team ERA, the team record was 9-0. Unfortunately, because you had the 4 errors, you had the Astros not scoring any runs because of the depleted lineup today. They are now 9-1. But he pitched 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. I still think that Randy Johnson was one of the best in-season trades the Astros have made that actually impacted them like that season. Right. But this has to go down as one of the better trades that the Astros have made in the regular season, right, Brett?
Yeah, it has to be one of the top 4. I mean, pitcher wise,
Right.
people often forget the Carlos Beltran.
Verlander. Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, he's a pitcher, yeah,
Yeah.
one of the 4 pitchers, but Beltran was a hitter. Beltran's impact when he came over here in those years, in the 04 year, was just like unreal. How he quickly, I mean, really, I remember when he left. I remember when he came back. I was at the first game. He came back as a Met, and man, the boos, it was brutal. People did not like him instantly, and of course, he's graced he's made his presence more gracious with the being tied somewhat to 2017. But yeah, I talked about it the other day on one of the solo shows. You have, Verlander, you have Randy Johnson, you have Zach Greinke, who was 8-1 when he came over,
Right.
and pulled too early, maybe. And then you now have Yusei Kikuchi, and Yusei Kikuchi, really as effective as he's been. You take away these 9 wins from this team, Eric, and you cut it in half. You're talking about still being tied with the Mariners right now. You're talking about they just won 2 out of 3. Now they have the tiebreaker. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. And so everything else changes. Everything changes in the Astros' perspective if Yusei Kikuchi isn't here. So maybe we call it the Yusei effect.
All right. So speaking of which, Brett, you remember last year the Rangers, they went behind the Creed song "You Take Me Higher," and that compelled them to go to the World Series.
Yes.
So could the Astros, not just for Kikuchi, could their theme song be "You Say" like that song, like by Lisa Loeb? Yeah.
Doesn't really have this. That doesn't have a. Now, did they play it in the stadium? I think they played it in the stadium.
Well, they play it after he exits, I think, and they play it every once in a while, but it kind of applies to the Astros as a whole.
Now,
Like,
if we get the whole,
you only hear what I want to. You don't listen hard. You don't pay attention to the distance that I'm running to anywhere, whatever it goes. But it's talking about how
karaoke Eric right now. He's trying so hard. But Eric, if you could get the whole stadium, let me say this: if you get the whole stadium singing it, that would be kind of cool. Like as he's coming out on the mound. But I don't know that you're not gonna play that song in the locker room, and the guys are like, yeah, like they're not gonna.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that whole Creed song, like that gets you, like a song like that gets you jazzed, right? Gets you pumped up. And look, Michael's like, no, Eric.
I'm just kidding a little bit, but it's cool that the Astros have like picked this up for Kikuchi, and I know the Blue Jays had it as well. But I'm just trying to think of some theme song that if this helped the Rangers get there. But even Evan Grant, the beat writer for the Rangers, he said, I know Rangers fans, we want to say that we won a World Series last year, but the Astros have done this for how long? This is what the Rangers should aim to be, and this is a model organization. And so, if y'all haven't read that one of Evan Grant's latest tweets, go ahead and do that. But I know we are getting a lot of recognition across baseball right now, and it's the fact that they came back from such a big deficit to do this with a rookie manager, and it just so much to overcome this year. Dusty Baker was a great manager, and now you have a rookie manager. Now all of a sudden, it's he's brought this team from being so far back. Most rookie managers have been like, well, I can only do so much. And I don't have the whole quote in front of me. I heard it on the morning show this morning, but basically he said that the reason why he didn't get so upset about everything is that he is the heartbeat of that team. And if he showed stress, if he showed that he was worried, then the team would have gotten worried. But instead, he kept on being positive. He kept on saying, we got this, we can do better. And we have this history of doing better. And because of Joe Espada's leadership, yes, we probably didn't see it as fans, as media, whatever. We didn't see it, but the team saw it and the team rallied behind it. And you see where they have come from. So I think that this team has come from where a lot of people haven't didn't expect. So,
So
in a
this-
second, Brett, I do want to ask you about the Blanco and Verlander switch. Do you think this is the right thing? Whitcomb, he did make 4 errors in this game. I know
not good.
he's just in his first year, but it's not good. But if this is the future at third base, does that make the Astros a little bit more likely to go after Alex Bregman? So much to talk about on this Locked On Astros podcast.
That's right. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com. Yeah. Let me tell you about Booking.com, because we know that you secretly are a fan of Chicago, LA, Boston, New York. Do I need to keep going? That's right. I'm talking about your rivals city. Look, Booking.com has a way to get you lined up because they're the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. From hotels to bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your rival city. With Booking.com's wide variety of choice across the United States, you can go incognito. That's right. To New York, to LA, to Chicago. So Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. They can help you book a stay that's close to your home team when they're on the road, no matter what the team that you have that you're rooting for, like the Houston Astros. You can become a fan of any city, from hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast and so much more. The right stay can have you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rival's city, at Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast and become an everydayer. Somebody listens to our podcast. Well, I guess you would say every day, right, Brett? Even during the playoffs, even during the offseason, even when the Astros win, even when the Astros clinch, even when the Astros lose. So we appreciate each one of you out there. And so, Brett, I want to open the floor to you to respond to what I just said earlier. And also, what does it mean for Alex Bregman? I know he talked about it after the game, but what does it mean? Alex Bregman, I don't know if you want to call it current call, but they basically they let him go out during the 4th inning to third base, and then he was able to they replaced him with Shea Whitcomb. What does it mean for the home team to say their goodbyes for possibly the last time during the regular season?
Oh, I mean, for me, I instantly kind of I didn't cry or anything, but I had a lot of emotions about it, because I've been watching this guy play baseball since he was at LSU. I actually lived in Louisiana for 2 years while he was a freshman and sophomore at LSU. And I remember watching him play, and I was convinced that this guy needed to be a Houston Astro. Little did I know, 2 months after I would move back to Houston, where I grew up, Alex Bregman would become the number 2 pick in that draft that year. That's why he wears number 2, so on and so forth. But Eric, I've watched 10 straight years of baseball with Alex Bregman as a main part of a team that I cheer for. And for him to be in another uniform, the thought of it sucks, because he is a stellar, outstanding third baseman. He has struggled offensively in the last few years. He's not the 2019 Alex Bregman, second in the MVP race. I believe if Mike Trout wasn't in the league at the time, that he would have been almost unanimous. He was that good, 40 plus home runs that year. But Alex Bregman, to me, is a guy that is very, very difficult to replace. You can't take Shea Whitcomb in a 4-era game and throw that on him and say there's no way anybody can replace Alex Bregman. We know it's tough. Kid's a rookie, man. I mean, so many people are so hard on this kid. I'm like, lay off this kid. Good Lord, he's a freaking rookie. Give him a break. Yes, I know he's a pro and all that stuff, but Lord have mercy. Bregman looked like he was appreciative. He looked like he kind of had mixed emotions, and he had some comments after the game. I haven't been able to listen to him, but he has the same Bregman, this stare, you don't know what he's thinking. You don't know if he's displeasured by being there. You don't know if he's happy. You don't know what he's feeling. He keeps everything close to the vest, right? And so I think it's tough, man. I think it's tough. We've seen Correa leave. We've seen Springer leave. And now we may see Alex Bregman leave. It's like, dang, like this time it kind of got to me a little bit more than it did with Correa or with Springer.
I think we kind of suspected that Springer was going to leave. I think we kind of suspected that Correa was going to leave, but we've been promised that Alex Bregman was going to be a Astro for life. They Dana Brown, one of his first things was, we're going to bring in Altuve. We're going to lock in Christian Javier. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, Alex Bregman. And it just feels like you had these expectations. Alex Bregman was going to be here, a lifetime Astro. And a GM can't follow through with all of his promises. And I think Dana Brown is kind of kicking himself for saying some of these things. But I think at the same time, you have Altuve saying that he doesn't see him going elsewhere. And I know during celebration yesterday, you can imagine that Bregman's like, I probably don't want to go anywhere because this team has been to the playoffs how many times? If I want to go into playoffs, if I want to make this legacy for myself, I need to stay here. But at the same time, you've got to have Jim Crane get out of his traditional thinking. You're going to have to go above and beyond. And the more I think about it, I mean, Kyle Tucker is younger. Kyle Tucker is probably, sorry to say this, but better. But I think that Alex Bregman, as a leader, as a defender, as a guy for what he could do at the plate, his patience, everything that he offers, he is irreplaceable. You cannot replace him. You could put Jason Hayward out in right field. Can he replace Kyle Tucker? No. But a right field is so much easier to replace. You could see what happens with 4 errors by Shea Wickham. No, he's not always going to do this. He just won minor league player of the year for the Astros. And so did, I can't think of his name right now.
Ethan Pecco won pitcher of the year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Ethan Pecco. He was in Houston today. I was like, oh, come on. Ethan didn't call us up and asked us to go to lunch with him. We actually interviewed him. They reached out to our agency and Eric's like, hey man, let's do this show. And it's just one of those things where you want to celebrate these guys. I mean, he came on the show, Eric, whenever the same day he was starting, he did the show. And he went on like a run. He won like 6 or 7 games in a row. So, I mean, you want to call it the Lock on Astros effect. I would like to call it that. But, look, here's the thing. Blanco and JV being switched, absolutely on purpose. Because that way they don't have to show their hand or make it look like they're disrespecting JV. Look, the game of baseball is all about respecting the veterans. The game of baseball is always about paying your dues. And that was 100% intentional. Plus, if they want to use Blanco, because what do they have? So the switch was Blanco's going before JV, correct? And is he the last game or is he the second game? I haven't seen the pitching.
He's going to be pitching on Saturday. So you're going to have Blanco going on Friday. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you would have had Verlander Friday, Blanco Saturday is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So they're just flip-flopping. Yeah. So that means that Blanco be ready for, technically, he could pitch in the wild card series if you want. You could also pitch him in game 3 technically, but you're not. You can have him go out of the bullpen. You could also have him for game 1 or 2 if necessary in the ALDS, depending on when everything kind of shakes out. But I think that you're going to go with the best 3 pitchers in the wild card series, and hopefully you get everything taken care of in the first 2 games. But I think that with the way it's all set up, the wild card series will finish pretty quickly, and the Astros will be able to rest some pitchers. But I don't know. I think that Verlander, what he does on Saturday, it's not going to matter. I think the Astros have already made their mind up, at least for the wild card series. And if he goes out there and has a fountain of youth, find a fountain of youth or something, and becomes the guy he's supposed to be, maybe they change their mind. But I just don't see that happening. I think the Astros are convinced that he's probably not going to be a factor for them, and they're just going to, in his last game, they're going to celebrate his career.
And to me, one of the biggest things, and I don't know if you caught this, but whenever Yordan went down, okay, whenever Yordan went out with the injury, Jason Hayward told Joe Espada, don't worry, I got you. I got your back.
Yeah.
And not only did he punch the wall yesterday with his left hand, we hit a home run after that. I mean, Jason Hayward is a leader. And, that is something that's important. And who knows? Jason Hayward could be an X factor. I mean, who would have thought that Peterson and Soler would have been heroes for the Braves in 21, right? I mean, it's the guys that you least expected in a cast of stars.
And that's what some teams don't realize. Yes, it's about production, but there's a reason why the Astros brought Aledmys Diaz back. He was a leader. He's a guy that, yes, he didn't stay long. I didn't expect him to, but the reason why they try to do it is because he's a leader. And when the Dodgers let go Jason Hayward, I mean, Dana Brown knew who he was because word travels. And so that's why I said instantly when he was released by the Dodgers, I said that night, I don't know if you remember that, I said the Astros are going to sign Jason Hayward.
And what did I say? I was like, no.
Yeah, you're like, no, they won't do that. They don't have any room and everything. So, by the way,
they did. Go ahead.
Before we go too far, Chas McCormick, he will be out for the rest of the regular season, but he is facing high pitches, like high velocity pitching. So he hasn't faced live pitching yet, but he is close to being ready. So he could be a factor for the postseason.
Yeah, definitely. Look, my biggest concern going to the postseason, Eric, the bullpen. That's it. Everything else I'm fine with. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not worried about the starters. Just worried about the middle guys. I'm not worried about the back end. Just worried about the middle guys. I just don't know how they're going to perform. And what we need to do in the next few days, or maybe even Sunday, is before they announce the playoff roster, let's talk about between now and Sunday who they would have in.
Yes, a playoff prediction roster. Yeah, we could do that. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. It doesn't take that long to hit that little subscribe button. Help us get to 15,000 subscriber. And we appreciate that. And we will see you tomorrow. We'll preview the Guardian series. That is a spring training series, but we'll get ready for the postseason. And I'm excited about this. You should be excited about this. Let's go Stros, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Go Stros. That's a wrap.
That's what she said.